So you're looking for an e-commerce platform. Nice. Of course you've heard of Shopify. It's the most hyped e-commerce platform in the history of the world. But you're a smart merchant. You're not just going to make some rash decision based on hype. Oh no. You're going to do your research and you're going to see how it stacks up against its competitors. And that's why I like you. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should choose BigCommerce instead. Pull yourself up a chair and let's talk about it. In this series, we've been exploring reasons why you'd choose one e-commerce platform over another. In the first couple of videos, we looked at Shopify and Magento. Those two are so fundamentally different that we didn't even have to get into specifics about functionality. With both BigCommerce and Shopify being SaaS platforms, software as a service, this discussion is a bit more nuanced. What we're trying to do in this series is not a full deep dive into the platforms. Instead, we want to highlight 5 high-level things that make your decision a bit easier. Then you, the smart merchant that you are, can go out and do a bit more research about these particular things if they apply to you. In this particular video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons to choose BigCommerce. Now, if that's all I did, I really wouldn't be helping you out. I'd just be selling you BigCommerce, and that's not what we're here for. So in another video that I'll release a week after this one, I'm going to give you the counter argument and tell you 5 reasons to choose Shopify. I'll link you to that video at the end of this one if it's been a week and it's ready to go. Don't rush me. It'll be ready. Unless you're watching this in the future, and if you are, then there's nothing better than binge watching e-commerce videos. I'm being sure to mention in all of these videos that no one is unbiased. Anybody who's telling you they're unbiased is either just lying to you or perhaps they fooled themselves. I have my favorite platforms. We're BigCommerce partners, don't do so much with Shopify. But I'm also not here to sell you anything. I want you to end up on the absolute best platform for you. These are in no particular order, so let's just get into it. And the first reason to choose BigCommerce versus Shopify are APIs. APIs are important if you're considering a SaaS platform. Because you don't have access to the underlying code, APIs are how you add all the functionality that you need to have. Both of these platforms have pretty good API coverage, although I'd argue that BigCommerce is a bit better, but for the most part, both are adequate for most folks' needs. However, the difference in the limits on how fast you can access those APIs is not even a fair comparison. Shopify limits merchants to 2 API requests per second and then just generously doubles that to 4 for Shopify Plus. BigCommerce, on the other hand, gives you 400 API requests per second. When we were looking at which SaaS platforms to begin supporting as an agency, honestly, this was one of the biggest features that led us to choose BigCommerce. I know what you're thinking. How often do I really need to hit an API? I mean, 4 times a second is pretty quick. Well, if you're syncing data from your PIM or ERP system and you have thousands of products to synchronize, you're hitting it a lot, probably a lot more than you realize. 25,000 products could take over 4 hours to sync on Shopify. To really drive that comparison home, that same catalog would take about a minute on BigCommerce. Again, I see those wheels turning. I know you. That's a sync in the background that happens in the middle of the night. So if it takes 4 hours, who cares? Fine. However, if you have multiple systems that need to sync data to your e-com store, you can very quickly run out of hours in the day. And to give you an example that might directly affect your customers and your sales, Shopify doesn't have a faceted search that includes filtering. There's a lot of third-party vendors that provide this functionality, so you can add it through some apps. However, how do you think they get that data? The APIs. If they're hitting those APIs in real time while your customer's interacting with the search, then your customer's in for a hell of a good time waiting on your slow-ass search to load. And the second reason to choose BigCommerce over Shopify are better product variants and options. This is another case where Shopify's focus on simplicity significantly hinders what you can do with the platform. Shopify allows you to create 3 product options like size, color, whatever, with 100 SKU limit. For many merchants, I'm sure that's more than enough. If you're outside of that typical fashion use case, you can run through 3 product options pretty quickly. BigCommerce, on the other hand, allows you to create up to 250 product options that include up to 600 total SKUs. Now, I strongly urge you not to put hundreds of options on your products. That would be a disaster. But if you need 4 or 5 options, BigCommerce is your choice. And the third reason to choose BigCommerce versus Shopify are better SEO capabilities. SEO is critical for any e-commerce business. I know more and more of your traffic is coming from social and paid ads, but as those channels mature, they become increasingly competitive and expensive. That's why it's so important to focus on organic traffic to help increase your profit margins. You just don't know when that paid traffic is going to become too expensive to be viable. BigCommerce is focused on making a more flexible SaaS e-commerce platform, and that's evident in its SEO capabilities. You have a lot more options as far as your URL structure, which is especially important if you're migrating from a different platform. Additionally, BigCommerce's product categories allow you to manage your products in a more traditional category to subcategory relationship. This makes creating complex navigational structures easier, especially if you're managing a large number of products. In Shopify, you can fake a deep category structure using some apps, but this is really working around how their collection system was designed. BigCommerce also includes Akamai, which will automatically optimize your product images to help improve your page load times. I can't tell you how many times over the years that I've had a new customer complain that their site is slow, only to find out that they're uploading huge 300 DPI product images. With Akamai, it helps eliminate much of this hassle, which sucks for me, I guess, because those customers won't be looking for new developers, but, we'll figure it out. And the fourth reason to choose BigCommerce over Shopify is additional functionality. They're just things BigCommerce will do out of the box that Shopify doesn't have. Again, much of this can be added to Shopify with apps if you're already leaning that way, but be sure to factor that into your ongoing costs as well. Here are a few examples of things that BigCommerce can do that Shopify cannot, at least without some additional apps. Shopify claims to do B2B e-commerce, but it's pretty limited because it's not really what the platform was designed to do. Now, I'm sure with their acquisition of the team at Handshake, they have plans for B2B, but as of this moment, it's pretty basic. With BigCommerce, however, you have more options. With their price list, you can get more creative with your pricing. You can create tiered pricing and give those high volume customers the pricing breaks they demand and show or hide categories based on customer groups. There's also some solid marketplace offerings on BigCommerce for taking your B2B functionality up a few notches if you need to. Another feature of note is multiple currencies. I know Shopify is telling you that they handle multiple currencies, but really all they're doing is converting one currency to another for display to your customers and then allowing you to transact in that currency. Those are useful features, no doubt. However, that's all it really does. And it only works if you're using Shopify Payments, which is restricted to certain countries. You can't do things like charge a different price for that particular currency. And then all your settlements are in your primary currency, so you have the cost of conversion fees to deal with. With BigCommerce, you have all of those options at your disposal. If you want to charge those foreigners more or less, do it. If you have a soft spot in your heart for your grandparents' native land and you want to give them a better price, have at it. Do all of this with any payment gateway that supports multiple currencies and then have it all settle in that same currency as the transaction. And let's roll through the last few interesting BigCommerce feature advantages. Out of the box, you can use accelerated mobile pages to improve your page load speeds. You also get functionality like being able to upload a file with a product purchase, useful if you're doing customized products. And you have unlimited staff accounts if you have a lot of folks that need to log in to manage your store. Now, we can debate whether or not having a ton of staff accounts is a good idea or not. It's not. But if you need it, BigCommerce has it. And the fifth reason to choose BigCommerce versus Shopify are their lack of transaction fees and lower credit card rates. Shopify has low monthly fees, but that's not where they make most of their money. No, they take a cut of every transaction one way or another. Oh yeah, Shopify's going to get paid. You either use their gateway so they can take a cut, or you don't and they hit you with transaction fees to make up for it. At first, it's not a huge deal, but once you start reaching scale, those fees become a significant nuisance. With BigCommerce, they don't force you into a particular processor. You have more choices, and that leads to better credit card rates. If you're comparing the two, be sure you're including your credit card fees into that calculation, or you'll end up with a surprise on where your actual real-world costs end up. So to recap, 5 reasons to choose BigCommerce over Shopify include more generous API limits, more product variants and options, better SEO capabilities, some additional functionality that doesn't require apps like better multi-currency, better B2B, accelerated mobile pages, file upload with product ordering, and unlimited staff accounts. And then you have the flexibility of payment gateways without transaction fees. With BigCommerce and Shopify, you really have to get into the weeds a little bit to understand the differences in the two. Which is best really is dependent upon your needs. Hopefully this gave you a little insight as to the benefits of BigCommerce and helped you make that decision. As promised, I'm also going to give you 5 reasons why Shopify might be better for you. If it's been a week since this video is released, I'll pop it up on the screen here at the end of this video, along with another one that might be of interest to you. If you're considering these 2 platforms, then give that video a watch and hopefully it'll clarify the other side of the argument made here. If you've watched both and you still aren't sure which is the right fit for you and you're having trouble narrowing it down and just want to talk about it, head over to jamerson.com, shoot me a message, we can schedule some time to discuss. A link is in the description of this video. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do not let my opinion be the only one that's heard. I'm definitely not always right. Right most of the time maybe, but not always. So let me know your thoughts. I appreciate you watching. If you're interested in staying up to date in the latest in enterprise e-commerce, taking your e-commerce skills to the next level, then consider hitting that subscribe button, tapping that notification bell, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.